clarinet fans, Kathy Williams-Devries here, bringing you a tutorial video on number 35 in James Ray's 40 Modern Studies for the Solo Clarinet meditation. I believe this is on the exam syllabus, grade 5 or 6, I believe. There's a couple of things, couple of aspects of clarinet technique that are challenged by this etude. One is sort of breath control and tone. Also changing time signatures and speeds. Because I think what is important in this piece is for it to sound not like there's a regular metronome beat, but actually playing that regular metronome beat so that the music still makes sense. So what I'm talking about is having sort of no breath beating. So at the beginning, is actually dead in time when you think about it, because if you, and I actually advise you to use a metronome. So that's one aspect, especially when you're going for that archel. Oops, well, something like that. Is that you actually want to have a very I mean, it is a meditation, so it needs to sound very free and effortless. So that's the first thing, is to make it sound like there isn't a clear beat when you're playing it dead in time. Okay, so that's the first best aspect. The next aspect is breath control. You have a number of instances where you start piano crescendo up to a mezzo forte, back down again. Now what I recommend here is that you gain breath control on the idea of the crescendo decrescendo, which is not in any way connected to the notes you're playing. So you have to completely cut off the idea that the breath is dictated by the notes you're playing. And how I would do this is I would actually just play one note, and you can do this on all notes of the instrument as part of your warm-up. But say count 4 beats, so starting as soft as you can, getting louder, and then going back down to piano again. So what we'd do is we'd start on this G at the beginning, so that then when it comes to you see, it feels a lot more natural. You're not, I mean, that's an extreme example, but that's not what you want to be doing. So you want to be, and see, that's just beautiful breath control. But what I would do is I'd start on the throat tones first. further on, say in bar 16, and also between bars 15 and 19, I would try to do that as much as I can in the one breath, because you don't want to be breathing at the end of a crescendo going to a forte. That's just a basic phrasing requirement. Okay, so let's begin. You'll notice that there is a difference between the first bar and the third bar, and you really need to make that difference. So you want a clear quaver in the first bar after the G. But now the quaver becomes a semi-quaver dotted quaver. And actually what I would recommend there is actually sounding out the subdivisions in semiquavers. And get as soft as you possibly can there. I'm just trying to find out what lontano means. This is one of the things you have to look up for exams too, is, okay, it doesn't have it, is that you need to know all the, I mean there aren't a lot of them, but sort of, so if I Google lontano, this is a good thing to do. Distant. It means distant. So what that means is the second phrase has got to sound as if you're playing it from backstage. So really soft. So starting with the first bar. Now sound as if it's coming from backstage. So as soft as you possibly can. Now come up a little more here, but not too much. Note the fingerings I'm using. When I hit the A, I'm actually doing what's called a covered or resonance fingering, because it sounds a little bit and you notice that I'm using the side F sharp because I find it has a much more stable tone than the regular F sharp. I don't use it all the time, but when I'm holding an F sharp for any period of time, I will use the side fingering. So and we do that here again in the 4/4. So you see between the B and the G I'm holding down some fingers in the right hand. Now to get the rhythm of this triplet in crotchets, what you need to do is subdivide into triplets. So each note because the rhythm is and what you do is instead of playing 3 in each triplet you play 2. And then gradually, once you've done that, you do that enough times, then just not articulate the rest of the triplet. So and then don't beat it at all. And that's how you do a triplet crotchet. Triplets over, so 3 beats over 2. And also what this piece is doing is gradually building on phrases, because you notice the first phrase and then it's sort of written slightly differently. So it's a meditation. It's if you're kind of sitting, you know, sort of on a hill under a tree, and you're just fiddling around. It has to sound almost improvised. And then, okay, so that is now. And further improvising. So we're gradually sort of building on these phrases. So again, you're going up to probably a forte, and then between the E and the A flat, and by 10 you pull back completely. And so that's the first section. The next section, we're a little bit freer. It's the allegretto. Okay, so there's a couple of things you want to do in this allegretto. The first thing is to get a really smooth connection from the A to the D. And you can do that by just sort of half holing and gradually just sort of stroking the finger across the top hole to get to the D. You want that. And then from the D to the C. So that and also I suppose and then you're sort of elaborating on that a bit more. And then we come back to the beginning phrase. More here, and actually in bar 23 we get faster. So from don't stick any fingers down for the F, it will be too flat to go to the B. You just have to have really well coordinated fingers, I'm afraid. We have this actual And then with the double lines, the tram tracks we call them, you stop completely, and then there's the next couple of bars should be as an afterthought. And uniente back to nothing. And I recommend that you use a lot of top lip in that top E flat so that you don't swig into the overtone. Now we're a bit faster in the allegretto again. You've done this before. Notice the covered finger I'm using for the G sharp. Now we're back to the beginning again. And just let it fade away to nothing. Okay, and what I also recommend perhaps is breath starts on those very soft G's so that you don't have a real sort of a so that's another thing you can think of, is not engaging the tongue at all in those G's and just using a breath attack. Okay, I'll play it all the way through. And there you have it. That's the meditation, number 35 in James Ray's 40 Modern Studies. So I hope you have felt that this is helpful. Please don't hesitate to get in contact with further questions or further suggestions, either on YouTube, email, website, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, whatever. I'm around. So thanks for listening. Bye for now.